Hey everybody, this is Brad again. I know y'all thought we fell off the planet. We didn't. But it is time for a newsletter, and this is it. So I want to share a few things with you. We early this year, late last year, getting close to Christmas, we normally go down to SA for Christmas so I can buy the kids some Christmas gifts. But this year there was some other impetus to kind of push us in that direction. We had the usual, there's an escalation of the violence that the Muslim terrorist group AlShabaab was doing around here. But at the same time, we had the election violence. I think I mentioned it to you in the last video. And then they upped it a bit where now they're blocking the national roads. And so for us to go down through the center of the country, just leaving south, we heard reports of a lot of big trucks being stopped and the drivers robbed and the trucks looted. So we decided not to do that. So we said, okay, we're going to leave here and we are going to go west. It's a much further trip, but the roads are a lot better. There's a lot fewer potholes going west. Going through the center of the country is very short, but the road is, it's non-existent and it's very dangerous. So we went west. It also meant we'd have to cross 4 borders, something we haven't done. We usually leave here, we get down to Southern Mozambique. In the south, we go to the South Africa border, 1 border crossing, you're in SA. But going west, we had a border crossing into Malawi, and we had a border crossing after Malawi into Zambia, and a border crossing from Zambia into Botswana, and from Botswana into South Africa, 4 border crossings. And border crossings can always be interesting. I'll tell you a few little things just about the border crossings that were interesting. When we crossed into Malawi, we found out that you have to have a $20 US bill to pay the road tax. They won't take it in any other currency except US dollars. And we had a $100 bill, but we didn't want to break it. And so there's all these people around there who is willing to sell you a 20 US bill. They're there for that purpose. They know that new people coming in is going to need it, and they're willing to do you a favor and sell you a $20 bill. So the guy, the first price he gave me was in Medicage. And I did the math. And he wanted $200 US in Mets for that $20 US bill. I go, no, that's not going to happen. So he said, you have Rand? I said, yes, I've got some South African Rand. So I'll give you a price in Rand. So he gave me a price in Rand, and I added that up, and it came to $350 worth of Rand. I'm like, dude, if you would get anywhere close, I might give you like $40 for that 20, but those are ridiculous prices. We never had to break our $100 bill. Which we didn't want to do, but we got across there. Well, so now we go on and we get to the border going into Zambia. It's a really nice new modern border post. Both the border post in Botswana and Zambia, at least where you cross into Zambia and from Zambia to Botswana, were 2 nice border posts where both countries were in one building, which is really a nice way to do that. Well, on the Zambian border post, the guy says, you have to have a police clearance for this vehicle. I said, well, they don't do that in our country. I said, look at my car title here. It's handwritten on cardstock. My country is about 30 years behind your country. We don't do that. And the guy says, step back and read the sign. I step back and read it. It says, you got to have this, this, this. And one of the things is a police clearance. So I dug around in my bag of papers that I had some stuff in, and there just happened to be, it was something, I don't know what it was. It was like I bought some eggs at this little baraka, and the whole receipt is written in Portuguese and yada yada, and it's got a stamp on it. And I said, can you use this? And he said, is that a police clearance? I said, well, let me ask you a question. Can you read Portuguese? He said, nope. I said, well, neither can your boss. And so as far as we're all concerned, that's a police clearance, and nobody knows any difference. He goes, you're right. And he took it and scanned it in the computer. So I got my car cleared into Zambia with an egg receipt. It's kind of the way things work here in Africa. Just do whatever you're big enough to do. Well, went through the Botswana border pretty clear, getting into Botswana, but exiting, we decided to exit. There's a lot of exit border posts. We picked the one at Stockport. What's it, Stockport? I think it was Stockport. No, it was Grobler's Bridge. And so we get there, and we didn't know it, but Grobler's Bridge only has one lane for 18-wheelers and business trucks and cars. There's not, usually most border posts separate pedestrians from, not pedestrians, but people who are just traveling that are not doing business from the big work trucks. One lane. There's about 100 trucks there. The line was very long. So I'm crawling through ditches and over curbs and weaving out of trucks to get as close to the building as I can. And I go in, and I'll try to make this short. But anyway, I hand him my Portuguese Levrette, which is our car title, and he goes, I've never seen one of these, which is not surprising because everybody, if you got a Portuguese Levrette, that means you were in Mozambique and you came in from the other direction. You came in from the east going west. Well, here we are coming in from the west, now going back east into northern South Africa. And the guy's like, I don't know how to do this, but there is a guy that knows how to do it. But he's at the doctor right now getting a checkup. So you wait. And we waited and waited. And hours later, the guy showed up who knew how to do our document. And he still looked very unsure, but he got it done and we got in. Just some of the border stuff you face. It was absolutely crazy, but that's why we ended up going that direction. So like I say, it was a whole lot further in kilometers to get to South Africa that way, but the roads were nicer. You got to deal with the borders, but you don't have the election violence and the AlShabaab terrorists. So, you know, it's a mixed bag. Pick your poison. I just thought of a couple of border things I wanted to tell you that were interesting. When we got back to Mozambique, we have one last border to cross. And it's our border. It's where we are residents. It's going to be like family. This is going to be the easy one. So we're trying to cross back into Mozambique there. We had come through Malawi. Now we're back to Mozambique. And there's a man at the gate there where you enter the border. And he's this new health official. And he says, we have to take everybody's temperature to see if you're sick. I mean, like, we stopped that COVID nonsense here a long, long time ago. But so he's got to be in his bonnet. So he takes everybody's temperature, and we're all at like 37 in Celsius is normal body temp. I know it's 98.6 in Fahrenheit, but for you Celsius people, everybody reads at about 36.4. 4 of us read that. And 4 of us, his little handheld infrared thermometer just says error. And the guy's like, oh, error, big problem. There's an error. I said, well, you're right, of course. The problem is your machine is broken. He goes, no. It means your temperature is so bad, the machine can't even read it. I mean, you know, that machine goes up to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But anyway, I said, no, it just means your machine's broken. And he goes, do you understand I have the power to not let you in here? I said, oh, I absolutely understand that. I said, so what do you think I ought to do? My house is in Mozambique, where we live. But you think I just go back and live in Malawi? Is that what you want me to do? I mean, I can do that if you want. It's going to take a long time, but I can do that if you need me to. He goes, well, no, just go ahead. And he opens the gate and lets us in. It was really rude about it. So that last border crossing was supposed to be pretty easy. Had that little hiccup. Well, we get inside, and there's one last hurdle, and we face it every time we leave the country with our car. Your car can only be out of the country 30 days. That's Mozambique law. And we're always out of the country more than 30 days. And when you come back in, you got to hand them your TIP, the temporary entrance permit. And they're going to look at it, and it's going to show that you've been out more than 30 days, and then the poop's going to hit the fan. And every time we've ever faced that, the Lord has got it past us. I'm like, well, I can't see what the Lord does this time. So the guys, he's working on our passports and writing all that in his little book by hand. Takes a long time. And the guy over the TIP desk, I can just see him over there. He's just looking. He's ready for me to come over there. And just as they finish our passports, and I got to go over and see this guy, I see him look out the door of the border post office there, and he goes, hey, in Portuguese, wait, in Makua actually. And he runs out the door towards one of those Toyota taxis with a bunch of people in it, and he starts hollering at them, and they're driving away, And I look out the door, and he's running down the road behind the taxi, hollering and waving his hands. So I walked back in the office, and I laid my TIP paper in the stack with all the other papers, and we got in the car and left. And once again, the Lord has got us past that TIP thing. So, just thought I'd let you know that it's not all fun and games crossing borders right now. Anyway, so we went down to the Cape. We had a wonderful time, absolute wonderful time. Got the kids really nice Christmas presents, visited a lot of friends. A couple of salient points just to share with you. While we were there, I went over to this lady's house she's been a friend of ours a long, long time. And she's a South African woman. And her and her husband had gotten divorced. And she ended up marrying this guy that turned out to be a drug addict. And me and Jen just went over to minister to her. Well, I'm sitting in front of her house, getting ready to make a call to tell her we're in front of your house, open the door. And while I'm sitting there in the car waiting for her to come out, this woman's walking down the road, this white South African woman, and her arm is in a sling. And so I rolled out the window. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" She said, "Oh, pretty good." I said, "What happened to your arm?" She said, "I found broken a couple of days ago." I said, "Okay." I said, "Do you mind if I pray for your arm?" And she looked a little weirded out because, I don't know her. She doesn't know me. This weird guy sitting in a car says, "Hey, can I pray for your arm?" And she's like, "Well, okay." So I said, "Come over by the window." So she comes by the window, laid my hand gently on her arm, prayed that God would heal the bone, just knit it back together instantly, and that it would be way quicker than what normal bones time heals. And then a day later, I get a call from this lady that I was mentioning to. She goes, "Hey, by the way, a woman knocked on my door this morning. She said that her arm had been broken and you prayed for her and God healed it instantly. Just like the next day, she pulls her arm out and it's no longer broken." So anyway, God did a miracle there. Thought I'd share that with you. Another little thing that happened that was pretty cool while we were down there. We were visiting at a friend's house. It wasn't in Cape Town. It was in another community. And their daughter was going to have jaw surgery. I can't remember if she had a underbite or overbite, but one of the two. And they were going to surgically move her jaw to get her teeth hit straight. So while we were there, me and the family said, "Hey, you mind if we just lay hands on your daughter and pray?" They said, "No, we don't mind at all." So we all laid hands on her and prayed, and we got a call before we had crossed the border to leave South Africa. Said we went to the doctor, and the doctor says she does not need the surgery. Her teeth are now lining up. So anyway, always down there having fun, enjoying the fat of the land, eating good food, enjoying the beautiful stuff down there. God was doing cool stuff while we were there too. Anyway, there's a lot of other stuff I can share with you about that, but I won't make this overly long. And so anyway, when we get back, started heading back, I get a call from a missionary friend here. He says, "Hey, we just heard that about 80 AlShabaab, that's the Muslim terrorists that came down from up near Nigeria, have passed through Ndola." And my heart just sank. If you have been listening to our newsletters for a long time, you know Ndola, I can only go there in a short window of the year because when in the rainy season, the Masala River, I can't get across. There's too much water, and then I have to wait for the water to go down, and then I can we make trips to Ndola, and every time we go to Ndola, God does miracles. A lot of people get saved. There's just a very vibrant church there. And when I heard that AlShabaab had gone through there, 80 of them, I thought, "Oh, I hope those people are still alive." I can't get them on the phone. There's no way to check. And the missionary called me a couple of days later. Again, he said, "By the way, we just heard AlShabaab came back from the west, headed east again, and passed through Ndola a second time." So I'm going, "Oh, my Lord Jesus, please help those folks." I'll let you know. I'll get back with you in the future and let you know what happened there. I don't know if our church members there survived. If they didn't, they were Jesus, and that's not a bad thing, but I hope they made it. Anyway, so let me tell you about our church plant in Natulu. I told you a little bit about in the last newsletter. Our newest church plant. When we planted it, it was the newest church plant. That building they built that I told you in the last newsletter was way too big. Like, why would you build such a big? They filled it. It's full. So full, in fact, that it's like standing room only. I'm very surprised. That doesn't usually happen in these bush churches, but they are going on. And that's even in the midst of a lot of crazy stuff happening. Like, there was a school teacher who we had made the pastor. He only had one wife, and he wasn't a striker, or he didn't have any other disqualifications that, I think it's 1 Timothy talks about that. He seemed like a good guy, and he could read Makua and Portuguese very well, and he was a good speaker because he's a teacher, and he seemed to love the Lord. And his wife was very good at leading praise and worship. I could not believe my good fortune to come across this couple to lead this new church. Well, I got back and found out that he lost his mind, got demonized, out in the bush, howling at the moon, kind of like Nebuchadnezzar, grew, nails as long as eagle's claws, and 7 times passed over him the dew of the heaven, in the book of Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar. But anyway, guy just got demonized and went nuts. And his wife kept the church going. And the church grew and prospered. So after I got back, he shows up at his house, and they called me. I went over there. And he looks like, he's been drugged behind a truck for a few weeks. He does not look good. But I prayed for him and cast the devils out, and he was in his right mind. And the past couple of Sundays, he's been leading the church again, and he's just like he hadn't just lost his mind and wandered off behind the little animals. So that was a real blessing. Well, in the meantime, messengers come from another village, Unida Deutsch. And they want to hear the gospel. Well, I had passed through Unida Deutsch 2 or 3 times going to a village I was trying to reach called Intepo. It's also a gold mining village. And when I went through Unida Deutsch, I gave out the Bible cards. It has a Jesus film on it. Some of these people have smartphones. They can watch the Jesus film. And then it has the Bible in Makua and about 150, 200 or so hymns in the Makua language. And they heard enough with those cards. They sent a delegation, said, want a church. So we came back, started the church. In fact, it was interesting when the first time I came back there and stopped, I get out of the car and I'm talking to the first people I meet, and a little ways over, I can hear the Jesus film going on someone's phone. There's someone sitting over there watching the Jesus film on his phone with a few other guys. So anyway, we started a church there. First Sunday, 2 people came forward, said they wanted to receive Jesus. We prayed with them, baptized those 2 people.
Okay, todos vocês são testemunho. Esse homem, Horácio José, ele queria aceitar a salvação em Cristo. Por causa da confissão dele, nós vamos batizar no nome do Pai, no nome do Filho Jesus, no nome do Espírito Santo. Amém. Okay, we're picking up from with the head bucket now. We're going to do it in three movements. You ready? Em nome do Pai, em nome do Filho, em nome do Espírito Santo. Luísa Alberto, ela quer seguir Jesus. Por causa da confissão dela, nós vamos batizar ela agora mesmo. Em nome do Pai, em nome do Filho Jesus, em nome do Espírito Santo. Amém. Em nome do Pai, em nome do Filho, em nome do Filho Jesus, em nome do Espírito Santo. Amém. Fala nosso Deus e nosso Pai. Eu queria falar que você pode eu queria, Pai, que você pode encher ele agora com o poder do Espírito Santo. Espírito Santo, chear essa menina e ajuda ela a andar fiel com Cristo. Usa ele também para pregar a boa nova de qualquer aldeia, saber para glorificar o Senhor Jesus.
Last Sunday, what is today? Monday, so that was yesterday. We baptized 3 more people there. And to
Nome de nosso Pai, nome de Filho Jesus, nome do Espírito Santo, amém! Ok, nome de sua confissão, em nome do Pai, nome do Filho, nome do Espírito Santo.
And two more people came to the Lord after that, and we said, okay, it's getting dark. Because now my Sundays start like early in the morning at 5 and they end after dark. And so we'll baptize y'all next Sunday. So we got a couple people to baptize next Sunday. So that new church is really going guns, and I'm very grateful to the Lord for that. A lot of pastors that have churches that are really growing, they'll have like 2 services. And I've had pastors tell me, I got to preach we have an 8 a.m. service, and then I got 11 o'clock service. I'm so tired on Sundays. Well, I'm going to 4 different churches every Sunday. And it's not like one church having 4 services. It is 4 churches in 4 different villages. And the 2 that are the furthest apart are almost 20 miles apart. It makes and it's out in the bush, so you're crawling through the bush in your truck. The roads are horrible. The scenery is beautiful. I appreciate that. Great birding. But it makes for a day where, like when I got home last night, I was a zombie. A couple more things I want to share with you right quick, just some personal housekeeping. My mom, I think she's 84, but she was a picture of health. I mean, for an 84-year-old, she walked every day and still did work around the apartments where she lived. She's just a very active woman. They found her laying on the ground, my brother did, and they've taken her to the hospital, and she has a mass about the size of an orange that's attached to her bladder, intestines, kidney, just attached to several things down there. And I think my sister-in-law told me that the doctors checked it, and it was squamous cell metastatic carcinoma, but something really bad. Anyway, so it's one of those where the doctor said she's too old for radiation and chemo. That would kill her alone. It's attached to too much stuff. We can't go in there and cut it all out without just ripping her guts out, and she won't survive that. So basically, it was your mom's toast, take her home. So I've talked to my brother about this, and I've asked him to start mom on ivermectin and fenbendazole. If you look at the internet at all about what's going on in the medical arena, there is unlimited testimonials that doctors who treat cancers are saying, had this woman come, stage 4 breast cancer, it had gotten into her lymph system, it was in her brain, she had 2 weeks to live, she started on ivermectin and fenbendazole, 3 months later she's still alive and declared cancer free. And those kind of testimonies, including pancreatic, every kind of lung cancer, whatever you can think of. They're putting these people on fenbendazole, ivermectin. So I told my brother, I said, look, and my brother was really kind of hesitant. I said, here's the facts. Our mother is dead. I mean, she's not dead yet, but just hang on just a little bit. She will be dead. When the doctors say we can't do anything and your mom's going to be toast pushing up daisies in 2 or 3 weeks, they're basically dead unless there's a miracle. Now, we're praying, but we're also working. And so I'm just asking you as a favor to me, if you happen to see this, would you pray for my mom that she survives this? We are coming home as a family next February of next year to drop off Magnum and Remington. Magnum is 20 and Remington is 18. And it's time for the two of them to go out, get married, get a job. Not in that order. Get a job, get married, get settled. Anyway, we're dropping them off there like we did Ken and Gunner. But that's not happening until February of next year. And so, I mean, I love my mom. I want her to make it. And I also, if she's not going to make it, if in the will of God, this is her home call, I need her to live until next February. We do not have the money to come home, not even close. The trip is incredibly difficult. I need Mom to live. I'm asking you to pray that my mom will, I pray that the cancer is whacked by either a touch from God or the two drugs I just mentioned, and that she lives another 15 years until she's 100. That would be great. But if she is going home, I'm just asking you to pray that she makes it until we are there anyway. Because Lord willing, next February or so, we'll be there dropping the boys off. So that being said. And then lastly, and I don't usually do this, and I don't like to do it, but we are in a bit of a crunch financially. Our identity documents, the ones we have to stay in this country and preach the gospel, the 8 of us here, our documents are coming due. The price has gone up to $850 a piece. That's, what is that? 6 to 8. I'm sorry. 8 times 8. It's just shy of $7,000. It's 8 of us, and they're $850 a piece. I think that's, if my math in my head's correct, it's just shy of $7,000, which we don't have, not even close. And in fact, as far as just normal living around here, gas, fuel, food, necessities, we just need an influx of cash. So I'm just saying, if and only if you happen to have a few extra shekels and God's really blessed you right now and you have some extra and you want to help a missionary family out, I'd appreciate it if you would help us with that. No pressure though. If you're having trouble paying your bills, may God bless you and may your finances increase so that you can pay your bills. Well, hey, we love you guys. I won't go on too much longer, but there's a bunch of stuff I could tell you, but when these things get long, people won't watch it. So anyway, we love y'all, and pray that the rest of this year for you and your families, a year of prosperity and peace and health and the presence of the Holy Ghost like you've never felt him before. All the good things of heaven for you and your family in Jesus' name. We love y'all. Bye.